My name is Thomas Sanz, and this is my ceremonial keynote speech and tribute to Mrs. Joy Sanz. Mrs. Sanz is not a doctor or therapist. However, she is my mother. I chose her because she has been an example of perseverance and tenacity. Isn't he autistic? Does he have a hearing problem? Does he have ADD or ADHD? These are some of the questions that Mrs. Sanz have heard frequently from people when asked about her child. Many parents with a child who might have a learning disability have heard the same questions many times. Joy Sanz did not listen to anyone's opinion. Her conclusion was that delay was not synonym with impaired, and difference was not synonym with incapable. Parental involvement in the education of a child with a learning disability has been essential to raise a successful child. It is not an easy task. This is why it is my duty to pay tribute to Mrs. Joy Sanz. Mrs. Joy Sanz is the biggest and fiercest advocate for her children, especially with a child who lives with a learning disability. She has researched extensively the diagnosis and attended classes, workshops, and seminars regarding the issue, and became a teaching assistant in a special education inclusion class to further her knowledge and understanding of the different style of learning. She has held that position for 8 years, which have been given her the first-hand insights on the styles of learning, what to do or not to do, and see both sides, the parents as well as the educational institutions, of the differences and how to approach them in a constructive way. Many parents are in denial when their child presents signs of a learning difference, and Mrs. Sanz has made it a point to help the parents of her students become more involved in their child's education. Parental involvement is the most essential aspect for a child to thrive in life. Recognizing the signs, working hard in hand with educators, and creating a sense of empowerment and self-advocacy would be the focus of efforts with her child as well as with her students. Mrs. Sanz recognized the early signs of learning difference of her child and did not let her child be just one more statistic. She researched the topic, contacted healthcare providers and specialists for a diagnosis, attended seminars and workshops with addressed and specific diagnoses, made it an important point to be well educated on the issue, and she was as busy as a bee. Acknowledging and learning about the issue is not all Mrs. Sanz had to do. She had to work with and sometimes against the education system to assist her child. Mrs. Sanz emphasizes how important it is to work together with the education system to assist the child be successful and work tirelessly with them. She made it a point that all the educators had and read the proper documentation regarding the child and the diagnosis. Maintained a close contact with all the educators regarding her child. When issues emerged, she worked with alternatives and solutions in conjunction with the educator. She did not allow, under any circumstances, for the child and teacher to take it easy. The answers to any difficult situation were never a mandate, and there had to be situations. At times, she would say some of the teachers had to break the size of a pea, because they were not willing or cared to try a different method of teaching. This is not only her job and effort, as she still says, the child needs to feel empowered and learn self-advocacy. Mrs. Sanz is a firm believer that the child needs to feel empowered and learn self-advocacy to succeed and has never given up on her child. Mrs. Sanz was always and still is helping and creating a feeling of empowerment and worthiness, essential to survive the world away from the parents. Since the child will not always be with or near a parent, they need to learn how to defend themselves in the real world. Life is not always a piece of cake, and children must learn how to deal with any situation. Mrs. Sanz does not believe in a no pain, no gain cliché. It doesn't have to be painful, but constructive and instructive. Parents are the best partner a child with a learning difference can have. They need to be educated about the issue, work in unison with the educational system in the child's behalf, and be a source of empowerment and inspiration to learn self-advocacy and to achieve success in all tasks and endeavors. Thank you. My name is Sanz Ceremonial.